Happy Friday to you, everybody. Hope you guys are having or have had a great week, and hope you have a great weekend. I want to start off with another exciting video for you, and this is something to take your Power Apps to the next level. Now, when you create Power Apps and introduce them to your company and start rolling them out, people kind of get used to a particular look and or feel. And they're very flat or two-dimensional, right? They're not super eye candy-ish. You can do a lot of different things, but I want to show you a technique that can kind of amp things up a little bit. Now, just because you can doesn't mean you should, and a little bit can go a long way. So maybe do this to one or two elements in your design, and it will just make the entire app pop. Okay, so one way to do that is with the header. Every application, or most applications, have a header at the top of it, and just doing a subtle effect to the header can have a profound impact on the overall look and feel of the application. So let's start off with a typical header. So most of us go to icons and we scroll all the way to the bottom just to get to the rectangle. And so, hey Microsoft, if you're listening, maybe move some of the common shapes towards the top, or give us another button selection which can pull from the same one, and just call it shapes, and that'll be a lot easier than having to scroll through this huge list. All right, and so we pop this on screen, and now I happen to have a hex code value for color that I want to use. It's a different kind of blue, and so I've got this blue here now, and so all this is well and good. So now what I want to do is adjust the height, because I know that that's pretty much something that's going to stay. So about like that might be good. And so now what I want to do is I want to set the width to be dynamic to the screen, because the height is going to be fixed, and I don't think that's going to change. So I don't know if you knew this or not, but you can double click on any one of these, and what happens is it changes the focus of the guy that's down here in the list, and that allows you to easily get to the value, as opposed to just clicking this, scrolling through, trying to figure out if most of the general properties are over here. So if you just double click on it, boom, you can get right where you need to be. So in this case, what I want to do is I want to write a formula, and I want this to be the width of the particular screen that I'm on. So I can do parent.width, and that'll take the entire width. You know, another way of doing that, not that this is applicable here, but just wanted to show you something, because most people know about the parent.width, but they're not too familiar with the app. So if you've ever tried to get your own picture in a header, and we're on headers right now, if you've ever tried to do the user, function dot, and then of course you get these, you might be familiar with that. One that you may not be as familiar with is the app. So app dot, and it has everything to do with the metadata or properties of your application. So you can also do app active screen, right? And so active screen also has a width. And so we're going to use that later. And I just wanted to show you that's actually there. You could also use parent, but in some cases, sometimes you get properties on the active screen that's helpful. For example, app.screen. I think there's a name. And so if you wanted to put a title in your header dynamically based on the screen name, or create a dynamic menu system, you can use that to drive the names of your the items in the menu. So just letting you know, app.whatever is there. So this one we just can do parent.width, and we're fine. Okay, so this is all well and good, and it looks absolutely fine, but I want to show you that you can do something else. All right, and so one of the things that you can do is under text, you can insert this HTML text. And so this HTML text, if we drop into here and we look at this, basically inside of the quotes we have a string, but for some reason you can put HTML inside of that string, and it's interpreted. So the point is, and the takeaway here is, whether you're putting straight up text or HTML, for example, let's do something simple like bold. All of that goes in the area. Now, you can also put elements like divs. fingers are not wanting to work today, guys. All right, so here we go. Div, I don't know, whatever, JJ, right? So there's nothing there. So with the div, we can stylize it, right? And do all this wonderful stuff. So here's the thing. Here's the end result. Check this out. Here is a HTML element. I've got some rounded corners, and I've got a shadow effect and a gradient effect. So I've got 3 different really cool things going on here with my header. So the point is, you can have this flat header, or you can have a stylized header. Maybe you don't like the height of it. You know, you can shrink this thing up a little bit. I'll have to go in and adjust the height here as well. But in any event, you know, that's something extra. And if that's the only effect that you've got on the screen, that actually is pretty subtle to the entire application. You know, you can go through and go crazy and start adding, you know, shadows on everything, and that probably overkill, right? Again, just because you can doesn't mean you should. And so you may be wondering, how did I do that? And so I've got all of this funky stuff, which is kind of hard to read. So what I did do is I broke it out over here into this notepad window. If we look at it, it's just a div tag. And inside of there, I've got a style, CSS style. And I'm closing this off. So if you know CSS, great. You can go ahead and type all of the CSS that you know. And if you're really, really good at it, then you know you can do this and a bunch of other stuff. For the rest of us that may not be so great with CSS, let me show you a quick shortcut. So I'm assuming that if you know CSS, I don't have to explain this. You already know what it is. And if you don't know CSS, I want to show you how to get to CSS like this. So I don't want to spend too much time, but anyway, I wanted to just kind of show you what we got going on here, right? We're setting the width, and I'm doing the app.activeScreen.width. Again, you could have used parent.width. This makes it dynamic so that any screen that it's on. And then we're setting the actual physical height. Like I said, if I wanted to change the height, this is where I would do it. And the background is, this is the gradient, or the CSS to control the gradient. And so basically I've got all of these different gradients, but I've also got the alpha value being set and the opaqueness, you know, to 0, 50, and 100%. I've got the box shadow where you see that the box shadow is going on, and then that radius. It essentially just sets the pixel of rounding for the corners. And this is the bottom values, as you might be able to suspect there. But I told you I wanted to show you a cool website. So I'm going to put this link to this website in the description box below. It's just html-css-js. So it's a place that you can come to get pre-generated code for HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. We're going to focus on this middle block, and specifically the generator. So CSS and generators. Let's go over here. So under CSS and generators, we can generate gradients. We can generate box shadows. We can generate text shadows, colors, fonts, tables, columns. Anyway, I'll let you read it, okay? And so this is where I used the border radius. So I come over here to the border radius, and I'm able to do for some reason that didn't seem to have taken border radius. Let's click on that again. There we go. All right, and so here is the slider. I just have to adjust my sliders, and it goes up to a certain percentage. So essentially that's the rounded corner. Now maybe that's too much. Now these are shims for different browsers, but this is inside of a Power App, so we don't have to worry about the shims. And because of that, we can just take this border radius. And so if you look into my code, this is what I got with the border radius. Now I'm only using 10. The setting over here was 40 and 33, which is off because I didn't slide my slider properly. But the point is, you can get a good visual feel for what's going on, all right? And not only that, you can choose the subtle effect on the line that's going around. So maybe you'll do a dotted or a dashed. Anyway, the point is there's all kinds of really cool stuff. You can set the line color and all of this other good and wonderful stuff. And so here's the border radius, here's the border at 5 pixels, and then the dashed represents the line. And so all of this information can be cut and put into the style tag that you saw that I did here. And all of this is on a div, right? And so we're not putting anything in between the divs. So you could do that and then add additional styles. But the point is, it's an HTML control. So you can almost do pretty much everything. I encourage you to go to the documentation at the Microsoft website for that particular control. There it will list out all of the specifics of what is and what isn't possible. I don't want to take the time to go through all of that because it may not be applicable to all of you. And in scope to this site, most of the stuff that I'm showing you here, or at least all of the stuff that I'll be showing you here, is possible because you've already seen that it works on the example app that I have here. So feel free to just take your time to go through each and every one of these. And I stacked 3 different effects, one after the other. Just make sure you follow general CSS guide. If you're not familiar with CSS and you need to learn a little bit about, W3 Schools is probably the most popular, or one of the more popular websites online for you to go through and pretty much learn all about technology and certain things as it relates to this kind of stuff. It's free of charge. It's kind of light and dirty and quick. You get in, you get out, and that's why I like it, and I think that's also why it's so popular. And more importantly, it serves, at least for me over the years, as a great quick reference just to kind of go check something out. So remember that website as well. I'll drop that link also in the description box below. But that is it for this video, guys. I just wanted to show you how to kind of kick up your Power Apps by using the HTML control and this website resource to visually kind of help you design stuff, because that's what Power Apps is, right? We're not coders, and you might want to just get a quick way of how to go in and, sexify your app there, make it look pretty. So that's it for this video. Thank you for watching. We hope you have a great weekend, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.